Hey guys, so it's really late, and I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see me, but I really want to talk about this recent case from the UK. There's an article on the University of Oxford's Practical Ethics site, and the article here is called "To Kill or To Violate." The author is Charles Foster. A highly intelligent 32-year-old woman has profound anorexia. She's had it for years. It's complicated by alcohol and opiate dependency and by personality disorder. Her BMI is 11.3. The healthy BMI is around 20. Less than 17.7 is in the anorexic range. Less than 14 indicates dangerous weight loss. Over the last 4 years, her BMI has been well below 14. She describes her life as pure torment. All the things she wanted to do have been frustrated by her illness. She feels unable to give anything to the world or to take anything out. For years, she has had intense treatment for her anorexia and related conditions. On about 10 occasions, she has been sectioned under the Mental Health Act. One of these periods lasted almost 4 months. Twice, she has executed advanced decisions refusing life-saving or life-prolonging treatment. There are only 2 options: death or the violation of her autonomy. If she is not admitted against her will to hospital, detained there for not less than a year, and forcibly fed under physical or chemical restraint, she will die. She understands this perfectly well. She doesn't actively seek death, but doesn't want to be force-fed. As well as the anorexic's usual horror of calories, the forcible medical administration of nutrition reminds her horribly of the sexual abuse she suffered as a child. Her loving, articulate parents want her wishes to be respected. The prognosis is not good. Even with the draconian force-feeding regime, it cannot be said that there is a probability of a good result in the sense of giving her a life acceptable to her. But it's possible. The chance cannot be said to be negligible. That's what landed on Peter Jackson Jay's desk in May. What should be done? The approved judgment, A Local Authority versus E and Others, 2012, AWHC 1639 CLP, was handed down on June 15, 2012. First, she was not capacitous. That meant, absent a valid and applicable advanced decision, that the best interests test principle should govern the decision-making. It was decided that the advanced decisions were not made at a time when she had capacity and were accordingly not binding. I consider that for an advanced decision relating to life-sustaining treatment to be valid and applicable, said the judge, there should be clear evidence establishing on the balance of probability that the maker had capacity at the relevant time. Where the evidence of capacity is doubtful or equivocal, it is not appropriate to uphold the decision. This is an autonomy-honoring declaration, although some will no doubt feel, wrongly, that to apply such a high standard may frustrate the provisions relating to advanced decisions. Provisions which, of course, are designed to facilitate autonomy. So where do the patient's best interests lie? It was a close call. When you're assessing best interests in such cases, you do a literal audit. You draw up a balance sheet. On one side, there are factors in favor of life. On the other, the factors in favor of death. It sounds cold and scientific, as benefits a determination which is notionally objective. But then comes the weighting of the factors. Not every factor is equally significant. The weighting is necessarily subjective and intuitive, but the patient's past expressed wishes and, even if she is not technically capacitous, her present views weigh very heavily. The judge noted that the patient's wishes and feelings are not the slightest bit less real or felt merely because she does not have decision-making capacity. Particular respect is due to the wishes and feelings of someone who, although lacking capacity, is as fully and articulately engaged as the patient. Paragraph 127. The judge noted that the patient's wishes and feelings are not the slightest bit less real or felt merely because she does not have decision-making capacity. Particular respect is due to the wishes and feelings of someone who, although lacking capacity, is as fully and articulately engaged as the patient. Paragraph 127. The judge concluded that the competing factors are almost exactly in equilibrium, but having considered them as carefully as I am able, I find that the balance tips slowly but unmistakably in the direction of life-preserving treatment. In the end, the presumption in favor of the preservation of life is not displaced. Paragraph 140. This presumption is hallowed by the constant reaffirmation by the courts and is now reflected in Article 2 of the EHCR, which provides that everyone's life shall be protected by law. It means, in this context, that there's a strong legal presumption that life is valuable. Presumptions can sometimes be very valuable. The principle is not absolute. It can give way to other considerations, see e.g. Airedale NHS Trust vs. Plan 1993, AC 789. Also, as the judge noted, the Mental Capacity Act of 2005 might have given absolute priority to the preservation of life, but does not. The approach taken by the Act is reflected in the MCA Code of Practice at 531. All reasonable steps, which are in the person's best interests, should be taken to prolong their life. There will be a limited number of cases where treatment is futile, overly burdensome to the patient, or where there is no prospect of recovery. This meant, said the judge, paragraph 122, that the patient's life is precious, whatever her own view of it now is. She is still a young woman with the possibility of years of life before her. The prospects of her making a reasonable recovery are highly uncertain, but it cannot be said that the treatment efforts are doomed to fail and that the treatment would inevitably be futile. It was this that swung the balance. Should it have done so? Many in the lay press think the judge was wrong. They will be followed in due course by many academic commentators. The argument is essentially that this is a suffocatingly paternalistic decision, that a woman who has suffered most terribly at the hands of her disease is being made to suffer further in order to keep in place some irrelevant antediluvian Judeo-Christian principles about the sanctity of life, that autonomy should have won the day. Continued, page 94. A few comments. A. Autonomy is a victim of anorexia. It is so badly paralyzed that it can't do all the work. B. The evidence was that a regime of compulsory treatment had a chance of improving the BMI and that the patient's mental state improved significantly as the BMI increased to 14.5 or 15. Accordingly, the regime is an autonomy facilitating regime. C. Death, so far as we know, annihilates autonomy. D. The language of sanctity isn't essential. Many of the cases don't use it. Say utmost respect for life if you want. The presumption still does its job. E. There are plenty of secular commentators who regard the notion of sanctity as fundamental. Look, for instance, at Hoffman L.J., as he then was, in Airedale NHS Trust versus Bland. F. Don't be scared by the specter of vitalism. It is not remotely a corollary of the principle as it is wielded in the courts. Ultra-conservative Catholics, you're not helping. G. Can we really collapse respect for life into respect for autonomy? Won't there be lots of casualties in the collapse? You might, for instance, end up denying life-saving treatment to young children on the grounds that they're not autonomous. Would you treat those children because they are potentially autonomous? Well, so is the patient in this case. The presumption in favor of the maintenance of life is essential. It's an appropriate tiebreaker in cases like this. It's an appropriate way of entrenching institutions and keeping patients safe. It could be used simply as a way of letting judges sleep better at night to keep patients' blood off their hands, but that doesn't seem to happen. It seems to be used intelligently with an acknowledgement that it can be an instrument of oppression. Okay, this article has been something that has been on my mind since I originally saw it several days ago. And there's been a lot of comment exchange between myself and others. And it's brought up a lot of emotions for me, memories of medical ethics class, but it's a really difficult issue. And before I intimate all of my conclusions on the issue, I'd love to know what you guys think. So I'm gonna just post this, and then after people have a chance to share their sentiments, then I will include mine. But I wanted to bring this to the attention of the AD community and see what you guys think about this, because it is a really important issue, and issues like this come up. So let's talk about it. What do you think? Much love and be well, everyone. Talk to you soon. Guys.